Thank you. Could I now encourage Phil Brock to come up to the microphone and just say a few words? Please make him welcome, Peter's brother.
A lot of short people in this world. Hey, how do you follow that? Gary and Greg, look at fantastic stories. I woke up pretty early this morning going, what am I going to talk about today? And obviously the first thing that comes to your mind is talking about the motor racing, which is such a big part of Peter's life and also my own. And listening to the three gentlemen before me, I just go, no, that's wrong. Everyone has their stories of Peter's motor racing, it's all fantastic. And I think it's up to me to talk about being Peter's brother. Another brother here, Lewis, who I haven't seen for a while. Lewis living in Perth now. And it's like a great reunion. And Lou had a lot to do with Peter as well as far as motor racing. But earlier than that, I just think when I hear the stories that people tell about how Peter was such a genuine person, and I can tell you our childhood was amazing. The biggest thing that hits me, my parents never once mentioned about, hey, are you safe out there? Is the car okay? Is this race going to be dangerous? Never once. It was always, how's the car going? Is it okay? You're getting faster? Or which normally I went, well, I'm trying, but I'm not there yet. But that was the whole feeling, was that this is just what you do. Our mother was a champion tennis player. In fact, she won an Australian senior women's doubles tennis title at the age of 50 or something, I think, which we were so proud of, you can imagine. I mean, your mother doing something like that. And she had that competitive spirit. And if you, nowadays, now that I can look back on a lot of those things, you get a good idea of where those feelings came through, and I guess in Peter and I, because I was the only one that did motor racing as well as Pete, I can see how Mum just changed things. I was the only son, but there was 4 sons. I was the only son that actually ever beat Mum playing tennis, but she was getting on by then, so it was a pretty fair thing. But she had a great way of teaching you about how to be competitive, and to be competitive was going. Like with tennis, it was like, we'll stay on the court. Lou was telling me last night there was a tennis match that he and I won in a doubles tournament when we were juniors in Hurstbridge. And Mum had just said, hey, listen, they're better than you are, but just keep the ball in the court. Just keep it going back and you'll beat them. That's what happened. And that's the way Mum treated sport, was just always be there, be competitive, don't go overboard, don't go crazy. And if you look at what Peter did, that was exactly it. I mean, the biggest single thing that Peter did, or never did, was he never hit anyone on the track. And if you look at some of the motor racing now, it's just, I mean, everyone just does it all the time. But in those years with Johnson and Moffat and what have you, there was never any contact. And that's where the respect came back to Peter on that side as well. So on that side of it was just an amazing childhood in that respect, that we grew up in that with Mum and Dad in their different ways. Mum with her competitive thing, and Dad, who was a bit of a larrikin in some ways, but he was a little bit hot-tempered, I guess, a bit like myself, a bit passionate, and would sort of get out there occasionally. There's a story about how he was about to drop a guy at Winton one meeting when Pete was running, I think, the Sierra Commodore, sorry, and anyway, there was a guy near Dad. Dad's watching from the old turn 1, and this guy's trying to tell Peter to slow down. Peter had just caught George Fury or someone. Anyway, doesn't matter. Whoever was leading, Peter caught the guy who was going to get past there, and the other guy wasn't happy. Anyway, he's going past. Oh, get out of it, Brock, leave him alone, back off, and what have you. And Dad got madder and madder. And finally he said, one more lap, if this guy does it again, that's it. So the guy they come around again, and of course Pete's getting closer and closer, having a go at this bloke. So Dad's leapt out of the van he was in, and was about to clop this bloke, except there was a friend there who stopped him, what have you. But I mean, I actually get very proud of that, because I mean, Dad was just so passionate. There was another day in the Brock Moffat friend days, we were doing rallycross one day, and I was out there, and Dad used to watch the car after each heat. And there was one heat, and Moffat and Pete had a bit of a crash together where Moffat actually hit him coming out of the water jump, got through and won that heat. Well, Dad wasn't happy about this, so they parked back in the pits, and Dad's got his mop and bucket, but a sponge and bucket, and walked up to Moffat and put it in his throat and said, "You ever do that to my son again, and I'm going to smash you." Never happened again, did it? So, but look, it was, and I'm sure the people tell you, here coming out of Hell Corn up to the back straight, Mum and Dad were there, and our Uncle John and Auntie Marge, every year for that many years, and they would be there, and every time Peter go past, he'd wave to him. And that's during the race. I mean, that's what amazed me was Peter, how he had so much time for other stuff whilst he was driving. Another thing about Peter, I think that is rarely mentioned, was his involvement with the Olympics. Now, Peter was involved by the Australian Olympic Federation to be part of the Olympics in both Sydney and in Greece, and the reason was because they understood how Peter could turn on and turn off. He never let the racing eat him up. He could get out of the car and go and have a cup of tea and talk to people about whatever, or talk about Collingwood or something fantastic like that. And then all of a sudden, okay, the car's ready, back in the car and drive again. But he was fresh and he could go. And of course, Olympic athletes, they do nothing for 4 years except train. And then all of a sudden, they got all this media attention on them, and they got no idea how to handle it. And Peter was there mainly with Laurie Lawrence, and that was his job, is to teach these kids how to switch on and how to switch off. And he absolutely adored it. I mean, he was in awe of half those kids as well, you know, just as to the ability they had. So it was pretty special stuff. I'll give you one motor racing story, and the last thing I'll talk about is 2006, and we went to Phillip Island. Now, this is a historic meeting that they have every year. Now, we're running Group C Commonwealths, Tyrannus. I was fortunate enough to also be driving an A9X as well, and Pete's down there. Now, Peter at that stage in 2006 has been racing for 30-something years, and at the top level for nearly all that time. I mean, from 1972, Peter was up the top. And if you take fantastic sportsmen, politicians, whatever, they don't have that length of time in the spotlight. And Peter did. We get down there, and there was one of the cars running. It was Group A and Group C, if you know those different formulas in those days. The Group A were a faster car. So after practice and qualifying, there was one Nissan Skyline that was about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Pete. And I was having a yak to him, and I was about a second and a half slower than Pete, as usual. And so I'm yakking him going, well, the guy on the Skyline, you wouldn't worry about him too much. I mean, that's unattainable as far as catching him. He said, and Peter, away, he look at you and just very steady way, he said, "No, I'll get him." So, okay, you sure? Yeah, I'll get him. Took 3 races, but he beat the guy at the end, and he dropped his times by a couple of seconds a lap. And you think, I mean, to me, it was one of the most outstanding efforts I'd ever seen by anyone, but also for Peter, having done it for that many years, to come out and do that. I thought, I don't know how you do that. You know, just to have that mental strength to just to work out ways that I will get fast and I'll beat this bloke. And I'll never forget that, because, and that was, of course, only about 8 months before we lost him. So, which is a awful thing. The other side of it, I think it's very important to mention, is that sure, there's a bit of sadness today, but I can tell you, as a family member, we have been so lucky that we had such a close affinity with Peter, whereas his fans are the ones that have really missed out, which I always feel very upset about. And one of the reasons why we're trying to restock the museum here with Peter Brock, cars and trophies and what have you, because it's so important to us as family to keep him out there. Anyway, thank you very much. It's lovely being here.
ladies and gentlemen, could I also get you to put your hands together and thank Lewis for coming all the way from WA today as well. Thank you, mate. We have now a special video message and tribute video to play for you as well. The video message is from Craig Lowndes. Just while that moment of reflection is happening, we'll hear from Craig first. But if there are those of you in the public who have floral tributes that you would like to lay, once Craig has finished speaking, please come up and feel free to do so. But firstly, here is a message from Craig Lowndes.
Which is